Have you ever wondered why they only realize your worth the moment you stop looking back? Why is it that the moment you pull away, silently, without drama, they suddenly panic, reaching for something they thought they could replace? It's not an accident. It's not magic. It's human nature, pure and simple. Here's the hard truth most people miss. When you're always available, when your energy lingers too long where it's not appreciated, you lower your value in their eyes. They assume you'll wait. They assume you'll stay. They assume they can come and go from your life as they please. But what if you could flip the script completely? What if you could become the one who got away? The unforgettable force they'll do anything to chase again. Most advice out there sells you quick fixes. Text this, act that way, post a mysterious story. But deep down, you know those tricks feel hollow. You want something real. You want lasting change. You want to embody the kind of strength that doesn't need validation, that doesn't crumble in the absence of attention. You're looking for something deeper, a transformation rooted in stoicism, in true emotional mastery, not cheap performances. You're here because you're ready to learn how to become the one they regret losing forever, not by pretending to be someone else, but by rising so powerfully that they can never touch you again. Today, I'm going to reveal a timeless path. Not gimmicks, not empty strategies, but an authentic way to turn pain into unstoppable strength. Together, we'll dive into how your silence becomes your loudest power, how your transformation becomes their greatest regret, and why the ones who once underestimated you will spend a lifetime chasing a version of you they can never reach. And here's the kicker. It's all rooted in Stoic Relationships principles, self-mastery, dignity, and inner resilience. What if the version of you who once needed them becomes the version they can't live without? What if every step you take forward tightens the grip of regret on their hearts? Imagine standing so tall in your worth that even the memory of you becomes their silent torment. Sounds powerful, right? Stay with me. The next parts will take you deeper into that transformation, and trust me, you won't want to miss a second. This is where the real shift begins. On the shift from seeking validation to becoming the standard. Have you ever caught yourself wondering, when will they finally see my worth? It's a question so many of us have silently carried, often without even realizing how much power it gives away. In the early stages, you might have believed that if you just proved yourself, if you just loved harder, waited longer, stayed more patient, they would finally open their eyes. But here's the stoic truth that many refuse to accept. The more you seek validation from someone, the more you teach them to devalue you. Validation seeking is a silent confession of neediness, of dependency, of placing your self-worth in someone else's unreliable hands. And in the realm of Stoic relationships, where inner control and self-sufficiency reign supreme, that is the ultimate betrayal of yourself. It's time to stop asking, when will they recognize my value? And start living in a way that makes that recognition irrelevant. Imagine a life where your worth is no longer a question posed to the outside world, but a silent, unshakable conviction you carry within. The shift is not about pretending not to care. It's not about playing cold, manipulative games. It's about a deep, immovable transformation where you no longer need them to see you. You see yourself, and that's enough. What if you stopped trying to prove you were irreplaceable and simply became so undeniably rare that no one who lost you could ever fill the void? What would change in your energy if you no longer waited for a sign from them, but became the standard against which all others are measured? Think about the kind of magnetic force that grows within when you withdraw your need for recognition, when you detach from the desperate hope of reconciliation, and instead focus all that energy inward into your evolution. It's easy to misunderstand Stoicism as emotional suppression, but that is not what we are doing here. Stoicism, when applied to relationships, means mastering your emotions, not denying them. It's about feeling the ache, the longing, the sadness, and then choosing not to be ruled by it. Choosing instead to transmute it into wisdom, into action, into unshakable self-respect. The one who got away isn't the one who begged, pleaded, or posted cryptic quotes hoping to be noticed. The one who got away is the one who stopped seeking and started becoming. She is the one who evolved so fearlessly, so magnificently, that by the time they looked back, she was already too far beyond their reach. Ask yourself right now, are you still seeking permission to feel worthy? Are you still hoping that a text, a call, a glance will somehow validate your existence? Because if you are handing them power they no longer deserve. The shift happens the moment you reclaim that power, not with anger, not with grand declarations, but with a quiet, relentless commitment to yourself. No announcement necessary, no revenge needed. You simply rise, and as you rise, something extraordinary happens. The higher you go, the smaller they seem in your rearview mirror. They start to feel the vacuum your absence creates. They start to sense the closing of a door they thought would always remain open. And by then, it's too late for them. It's not your responsibility to wait around while they figure it out. It's not your burden to prove you were worth fighting for. Your only task is to become the highest, most authentic version of yourself, a version so powerful and magnetic that you become the unattainable standard. Can you imagine the kind of peace that comes from no longer obsessing over how they feel about you? Can you imagine the kind of quiet power that grows when you no longer flinch at their indifference, no longer ache for their attention, no longer crumble in the absence of their approval? That is the power of Stoic relationships. That is the state of emotional sovereignty, where you stop being an option and become the lost opportunity they'll spend a lifetime regretting. And it's not about showing them, it's about showing yourself. Proving to the person in the mirror that you are more than someone's temporary thrill or safety net. That you are the prize, always have been and always will be. Reflect on this. When was the last time you truly chose yourself without hesitation? When was the last time you stopped calculating your worth based on someone else's ability to appreciate it? What if you decided right here and now that their recognition, their apology, their regret are no longer your currency? What if you decided that your worth is non-negotiable, unshakable, impervious to their blindness? It's a radical idea for many because the world constantly teaches us to seek love, to chase acceptance, to mold ourselves into what others might approve of. But Stoicism calls for something different. It demands that you stand still in the storm, unmoved by the fleeting whims of others. That you become your own fortress, your own sanctuary, your own unwavering source of validation. Picture the difference, the you who waits versus the you who walks, the you who hopes versus the you who holds, the you who begs versus the you who builds. Who would you rather be? Every day you continue seeking, you reinforce the idea that they are the prize. Every day you withdraw and build yourself, you become the prize. It's that simple, that profound, and that transformative. They might not notice the change immediately. They might still believe they have you figured out, that they can stroll back into your life whenever the mood suits them. But time, consistency, and silence are the greatest teachers. As you rise quietly, they will begin to feel the ground shift beneath them. As you detach, they will start to wonder. As you elevate, they will start to chase. This is not about punishing them. It's about honoring yourself. Because at the core of every Stoic relationship lies one unbreakable truth. Self-respect is non-negotiable. You must become the person who is so deeply rooted in her own value that losing you is not just painful, it's devastating. That kind of impact cannot be faked. It cannot be staged. It must be lived, breathed, embodied every single day. They will feel it not because you told them, but because life itself will remind them. in every shallow connection, in every empty thrill, in every moment where they search for a feeling that no longer exists anywhere but in their memories of you. Your power is not in shouting your worth from the rooftops, it's in embodying it, so completely that their souls carry the echo of your absence forever. Ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave in their life? One of desperation, of chasing, of waiting, or one of silent, haunting greatness? The choice is yours. It always has been. And the moment you make that choice, the moment you shift from seeking to becoming, is the moment everything changes. This is the foundation of Stoic relationships. You don't beg, you don't break, you build, you become, you rise. You leave behind the ashes of your old self and step into a version of you so untouchable, so luminous, that their regret is inevitable. And when they finally wake up, when they finally realize what they lost, when they finally feel the weight of their mistake, it won't matter. Because by then, you will be too far ahead, living a life so rich, so full, so magnetic, that the thought of chasing you will feel both necessary and impossible. And you won't be waiting anymore. You'll be too busy becoming everything you were always meant to be. 2. The power of silence. Your absence will echo louder than words. Have you ever truly understood the magnitude of silence? Not the kind of silence that screams for attention, but the kind that hums with power, dignity, and unshakable resolve. In the world of Stoic relationships, silence is not weakness. It is not an admission of defeat. It is the ultimate weapon of strength, a force so profound that it reverberates louder than any shouted words or dramatic actions ever could. When you remove yourself from someone's life without fanfare, without desperate explanations, without chasing closure, you create a vacuum they cannot ignore. At first, they may convince themselves it doesn't matter. They may even celebrate the newfound space, interpreting your absence as a victory. But over time, as the noise of distractions fades and reality settles into their bones, your silence becomes deafening. Have you ever stood alone in an empty room and suddenly become acutely aware of your own heartbeat? That is the effect your absence will have on them. Every conversation that feels hollow, every new connection that lacks depth, every night spent scrolling through meaningless distractions will amplify the space you once filled. They will search for you in others, not because they want to, but because the human mind clings desperately to what once made it feel alive. This is the reality they must face. You were never just a body in their life. You were a presence, a force, an irreplaceable rhythm. And now that you're gone, the dissonance of that missing music will torment them. It's important to understand that Stoicism doesn't seek to cause suffering in others. It seeks to preserve dignity in oneself. Your silence is not revenge. Your silence is the manifestation of your self-respect. It is the quiet declaration that you are no longer available to those who failed to value you. It is not about winning or losing. It is about moving forward with grace, with restraint, with a deep abiding belief that your energy is too precious to be wasted on those who could not appreciate it the first time. Think of a fire that once warmed a room. When it burns brightly, people gather near, taking its warmth for granted. But if the fire dies out, the cold seeps in slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, until it becomes unbearable. Your energy, your love, your presence was that fire. And now, without warning, without explanation, it is gone. They will feel the chill, they will notice the void. And unlike a fire that can be easily reignited, they will realize that some losses are permanent. Have you ever wondered why people return to past loves long after the logical reasons for separation have faded? It's because the subconscious mind is relentless. It remembers the sensations, the emotions, the irreplaceable moments. It compares every new experience against the original, and when nothing measures up, the regret begins to fester. You become the echo that haunts their quiet moments. You become the standard against which all others are measured and found lacking. They won't always admit it. Pride and ego are powerful shields. They might even fight against the memories at first, throwing themselves into shallow distractions, into hollow pursuits, trying desperately to convince themselves that the loss is insignificant. But the truth has a way of sneaking past defenses. It whispers in the silence, growing louder with every failed attempt to replicate what was lost. You were not replaceable. You were not forgettable. You were a chapter so vivid, so alive, that every page they turn without you feels empty. In Stoic relationships, the art of silence is an act of supreme confidence. It says, I know my value. I know what I brought. And if you fail to see it, that is your burden to carry, not mine. No closure is needed when your absence speaks volumes. No confrontation is necessary when life itself becomes the teacher. Think for a moment, how much stronger would you feel if you no longer needed to explain yourself to those who chose not to understand you? How much lighter would you walk if you no longer carried the weight of hoping someone else would wake up and realize your worth? Silence is liberation. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is active, deliberate, commanding. It is the decision to stop pouring your essence into a vessel that could not hold it. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation. In the philosophy of Stoicism, silence is praised not because it hides emotion, but because it commands discipline over it. You are allowed to feel everything, the hurt, the betrayal, the longing, but you are not obligated to react, to perform, to plead. Your power lies in your restraint. Your strength lies in your choice to disengage with dignity, and in doing so, you teach them a lesson far more potent than words ever could. Every time they encounter a fleeting connection that leaves them hollow, every time they search for the laughter, the depth, the intimacy they once shared with you and find only echoes, your silence grows louder. It becomes the voice in their mind that says, you lost something you will never find again. And the more you commit to this silence, the more undeniable your absence becomes. They may attempt to re-enter your life, to send out feelers, to bait you with nostalgia. But you, fortified by Stoic relationships principles, will see these for what they are. Desperate attempts to recapture what they discarded. You owe them nothing. Your silence is your answer. The version of you who once needed closure, who once needed their recognition, has been replaced by a version who moves through the world with serene indifference. Not hatred, not bitterness, but peaceful certainty that you are your own greatest source of validation. And that, ironically, is what draws them back, because people are drawn to those who no longer need them. Neediness repels. Independence magnetizes, emotional chaos repels, inner calm mesmerizes. They were once so sure you would always be there, lingering in the background, waiting for their return. But the silence they now face is impenetrable. It is the wall they cannot climb, the void they cannot fill, the mistake they cannot undo. Ask yourself now, what speaks louder, 1,000 words of explanation, or the simple, irrefutable fact of your absence? What leaves a deeper mark, emotional pleas, or the quiet dignity of moving on without a backward glance? Life will be their teacher now. Memory will be their punishment. Regret will be their burden. And you will be free. Free to build, to thrive, to rise, free to become the most powerful version of yourself, untouched by the limitations of those who failed to see you. And the most beautiful part, you do not have to lift a finger. You do not have to explain, to justify, to retaliate. Your silence will do all the talking. In every sleepless night, in every hollow encounter, in every lonely realization that they let go of something irreplaceable, your absence will echo louder than anything you could have said. This is not revenge. This is evolution. This is the heart of Stoicism in action, choosing to rise above the noise, to find peace not in being understood, but in understanding yourself. To anyone watching this, feeling the ache of silence, doubting its power, remember this. Silence is not the end. It is the beginning of your new story, the threshold of your rebirth. It is the space where you reclaim your power, your dignity, your future. And while they are haunted by the ghost of what they lost, you will be too busy building a life so radiant, so full, that their memory of you becomes a bittersweet ache they can never escape. If this message resonated with you, if you feel the fire of Stoic resilience burning brighter in your chest, take a moment right now to like this video. Leave a comment saying #1 to let us know you're stepping into your power, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another message that fuels your growth. Your journey is only just beginning. Welcome to your new standard. Welcome to Stoic Relationships. 3. The ghost they can't escape. Have you ever become a ghost in someone's life without even trying? Not the kind of ghost that lingers desperately at the edges, hoping to be noticed, but the kind of ghost that quietly inhabits the deepest corners of memory, the kind that appears when they least expect it, the kind they can never seem to outrun, no matter how fast they move forward. This is the power you embody when you stop reaching, when you stop chasing, when you step back without a word, and let life, time, and memory do the work for you. In the philosophy of Stoicism, there is a deep understanding that detachment does not weaken connection. It transforms it into something timeless, something immortal. You are no longer the voice calling their name. You are the whisper they hear when the world grows silent, the familiar feeling that sneaks into their chest when they laugh with someone new but feel nothing, the sudden pang that strikes when a song plays, a scent drifts by, or a memory slips through the cracks of their carefully constructed distractions. You are the uninvited thought, the shadow that never fully fades. Because when a bond is real, when a presence was once genuine, you cannot simply erase it. The subconscious mind clings to what mattered most, whether they admit it or not. And the more they try to push you away mentally, the deeper your imprint becomes. Every time they tell themselves they've moved on, they are only reinforcing the depth of what they lost. In Stoic relationships, we understand that true influence, true power does not come from force, it comes from absence. It comes from being the irreplaceable experience that time cannot dilute, no matter how desperately they wish it could. Imagine being the chapter they cannot close, the song they can't stop hearing in the quiet hours when the world around them stills. This is not about revenge. This is not about haunting them out of bitterness or spite. It's the natural consequence of being real in a world full of surface-level interactions. It is the inevitable result of authenticity in a sea of temporary thrills. When you offered depth, when you gave sincerity, when you loved without conditions, you planted roots that no storm of distractions can uproot. Have you ever tried to erase a powerful memory, only to find that the harder you tried, the more it gripped you? That is exactly what they experience now. They seek novelty, they chase excitement, but none of it feels like you. None of it touches the soul the way you did. None of it replaces the feeling of being seen, understood, connected at a level beyond the superficial. You were not just another passerby in their life. You were the earthquake, the force that shifted the ground beneath their feet, even if they didn't recognize it at the time. And now, in their quieter moments, when distractions fade and the emptiness settles in, You become the presence that fills the silence. The most haunting thing about losing something irreplaceable is not the loss itself. It is the realization, much later, that nothing else comes close. They thought they had time. They thought they could leave, explore, replace, upgrade. But Stoicism teaches that true value cannot be replicated, and true loss cannot be undone. Now, the very memories they try to suppress become their burden to carry. The echo of your laughter, the comfort of your understanding, the fire of your passion, all of it becomes the phantom weight they cannot escape. Every smile with someone new feels thinner. Every conversation lacks the richness they once had with you. Every attempt at moving on feels forced, mechanical, empty. And as they move through life, no matter how many faces they encounter, no matter how many distractions they pursue, you will linger. Not because you are clinging to them, but because they failed to cherish what was rare, and the human mind has a cruel way of magnifying the absence of what it once took for granted. In Stoic Relationships, we embrace the reality that not every loss is visible immediately. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, even years for the full weight of a mistake to settle in. And when it does, it is devastating. You become the ghost they can't exorcise, the standard they can never meet again, the quiet reminder in every unfulfilling moment that they once held something extraordinary and let it slip through their fingers. It is important to resist the temptation to check if they miss you, to peek into their life, hoping for evidence of their regret. True Stoicism demands that you let go completely, that you trust the natural unfolding of consequences without needing proof or validation. Your energy, once freely given, is now reserved for yourself. Your silence is not a strategy. It is your new way of being, detached, dignified, powerful beyond words. Every time they reach for a fleeting pleasure to fill the void, they will find it shallow. Every time they try to recreate what they had with you, they will fall short, because you were not just a partner. You were an experience. You were a universe. You were a home they will never find again. The human mind is wired to seek what brought the greatest comfort, the deepest connection. And when the mind recognizes that the source of that comfort is gone forever, it does not move on easily. It obsesses, it regrets, it aches in ways that words cannot touch. Have you ever wondered why certain memories feel more alive than others? Why certain losses feel heavier even after years have passed? It's because the mind and the heart refuse to let go of what once felt like home. And you were home to them, whether they knew it then or not. As you continue to rise, to heal, to evolve beyond recognition, they are left with the fading, bittersweet echoes of a time when they were once chosen by someone extraordinary. Their regret will not be loud at first. It will be a whisper, a fleeting thought, a sudden tightness in the chest when your name is mentioned, a pause in conversation when a familiar song plays. But over time, these whispers grow louder. They accumulate, they compound, until the regret becomes an undeniable roar, a persistent ache that cannot be drowned out by distractions or new beginnings. Stoicism teaches us not to revel in the suffering of others, but to focus on our own growth, to remain centered in our own journey. You do not become the ghost they can't escape by trying to haunt them. You become it by living your life fully, deeply, authentically, without looking back. You become it by becoming someone so rooted in self-worth, so radiant in your peace, that the mere thought of you is both beautiful and devastating to them. You are no longer accessible. You are no longer within reach. And that, more than any angry words or dramatic goodbyes, is what breaks them. The finality of your absence, the irreversibility of your departure. They will carry your memory like a scar, visible to no one but themselves, felt in the quietest, loneliest moments. And you will have already built a life so rich, so full, so magnificent that their regret will be nothing but a distant echo you barely hear anymore. That is the essence of Stoic relationships. That is the art of becoming the ghost they can never escape. 4. The diamond they carelessly threw away. Have you ever watched someone throw away something precious simply because they couldn't recognize its value in the moment? A diamond held up to the wrong light can appear dull. To eyes that are blind to rarity, even brilliance looks ordinary. That is exactly what happened when they let you go. They mishandled something extraordinary, believing there would be another, believing they could easily find someone else to replace what you brought into their life, believing that love, depth, loyalty, and irreplaceable energy could simply be traded for newer distractions. But life, especially through the lens of Stoic relationships, has a brutal way of revealing the true worth of what was lost once the dust of careless decisions settles. You see, a diamond doesn't lose its value just because someone failed to see it. Its rarity, its strength, its beauty remain untouched. It is the fool who walks away that suffers, not the gem itself. And that's the truth they now face, whether they are ready to admit it or not. In the beginning, they might have been caught up in the illusion of abundance, the false belief that something better, easier, more thrilling was just around the corner. They might have felt powerful walking away, feeling as if they had options, lined up, as if your uniqueness was a dime a dozen. But as time unfolded, as faces blurred together, as conversations grew hollow and temporary, thrills faded into regret. Reality hit them with the force of a truth they could no longer outrun. You were never ordinary. You were the rarest of rare, and they threw you away thinking you were common. Stoicism teaches us that attachment to illusions is the source of much human suffering, and their suffering is rooted deeply in the illusions they once clung to. The illusion that love like yours could be replicated, that connection like yours could be replaced, that loyalty like yours could be found again without effort or appreciation. They thought time was infinite, that chances would always remain, that you would somehow always be there, lingering like a forgotten option. But the door they so casually walked out of has closed, and the emptiness they now face is the harsh price of their blindness. Have you ever wondered why the human heart aches, not just for what it had, but for what it realizes too late it will never find again? Because true rarity, once lost, becomes a haunting, a permanent reminder etched into the soul. No matter how many new people they meet, no matter how many exciting moments they chase, there will always be something missing, a depth, a glow, a force that none of them can recreate. And every time they sense that absence, they will be reminded of the diamond they so carelessly discarded. Think for a moment about the tragedy of not recognizing value when it's right in front of you. It is not just regret they face now. It is a deep, gnawing awareness that they participated in their own downfall, that they held something priceless in their hands and treated it like it could easily be found again. Stoic relationships teach us not to grieve for what others fail to appreciate, but to recognize that their failure does not diminish our worth. Your radiance, your depth, your authenticity remain intact. Their blindness only highlights their loss, not your lack. They may try to cover the ache with distractions, to convince themselves that moving on is easy, that you are just another chapter. But the subconscious mind is not fooled by temporary facades. It knows the difference between imitation and the real thing. And deep inside, every new encounter will be measured against you and fall short. Have you ever noticed how a memory becomes more golden, more painful, more revered the further we drift from it? That is the reality they live with now. You have become their golden memory, the irreplaceable jewel against which all others are silently compared. And the more they realize it, the deeper their regret carves itself into their heart. But for you, There is no need to look back. Stoicism reminds us to move forward with clarity, with acceptance, with inner strength. You are not defined by who failed to appreciate you. You are defined by the unchanging truth of your own worth. You are the diamond always were, always will be. Their inability to see it is their burden, not yours. Imagine how heavy that burden must become over time, especially when pride prevents them from reaching out, from admitting the mistake. They will live with that weight in silence, while you, detached and rising, build a life so radiant that their memory of you becomes even more unreachable. This is the irony of life's lessons. The ones who take us for granted often realize too late that we were the rarest experience they ever had. But by then, our backs are turned, our hearts have healed, and our lives have moved far beyond their grasp. Ask yourself, would you trade your peace, your evolution, your new strength just to return to someone who couldn't even recognize your value when you were right there, offering them everything? The answer is no. The answer must always be no. Because the path of Stoic relationships demands that we honor ourselves above fleeting emotions, that we invest in our own growth rather than in the empty hope that someone who once failed us will suddenly become capable of seeing clearly. As you walk this path, remember that becoming the diamond they threw away is not about bitterness. It is about transformation. It is about stepping fully into your light without apology, without hesitation, without the need for them to ever understand what they lost. Your existence, your elevation, your radiance will be the silent proof. They will hear your name and feel a hollow ache they can't explain. They will see a glimpse of your energy in someone new and feel an immediate pang of loss. They will smile at another and feel a twinge of sadness because the depth of connection they once knew with you is absent. This is not cruelty. This is consequence. This is the natural unfolding of life when someone mishandles a blessing they were never truly ready to receive. And as they sit with that realization, as it grows heavier with every passing year, you will be somewhere else entirely, thriving, laughing, shining, building a life that no longer includes them in its narrative. That is the final power you hold. That is the final gift Stoicism offers you, the freedom to move forward without resentment, to let your life itself be the testimony of your worth. You are the rarest thing they ever touched. You are the diamond they carelessly threw away, and now that realization will haunt them long after your memory has become just a whisper in your own mind, while it roars loudly and unrelentingly in theirs. If this message resonated with you, if you feel the deep power of your own worth awakening within you, take a second to like this video, leave a comment saying number 1 to claim your power, and subscribe so you never miss another message that strengthens your journey into Stoic relationships and self-mastery. Your story is just beginning, and it's one they will spend a lifetime regretting not being a part of. 5. The fire they can no longer touch. Have you ever realized that not every fire is meant to warm those who gather around it? Some fires are meant to burn so brightly, so fiercely, that they become untouchable, unforgettable. This is the fire you have become, the fire they once basked in without understanding, the fire they took for granted, the fire they assumed would always be there to return to when the world grew cold. But fires, true fires, the kind that are fueled by depth, authenticity and passion, do not wait for those who abandon them. Fires like yours either consume everything around them or move on, leaving only ashes in their wake. In Stoic relationships, we learn that our warmth, our passion, our presence must be offered from strength, not from desperation, and must be protected from those who are careless with it. When you loved them, you loved with a fire that could have fueled worlds. You loved with a force that could have transformed both of your lives into something extraordinary. But they, in their arrogance, their short-sightedness, believed they could walk away from that fire and return whenever they wished, as if your heart was a hearth they could visit at their convenience, as if your passion would burn eternally, waiting for them to remember its value. They were wrong. Fires that are not tended, that are not respected, do not die quietly. They grow wild, they grow vast, and eventually they become something no hand can contain, no heart can approach without trembling. You are no longer the gentle flame they once knew. You are the wildfire, the blazing sun, the inferno that can only be admired from afar, never touched again. Think about what it means to be the fire they can no longer touch. It means you have transcended the version of yourself that needed their validation, their presence, their acknowledgement. It means you have become so self-contained, so fiercely alive within yourself, that their absence no longer diminishes your light. It only intensifies it. In Stoicism, we are taught that the highest form of strength is self-sufficiency, that our power should not be tied to the recognition of others, and your fire now burns with a fuel that no external validation can add to or diminish. Imagine them standing at a distance, watching you glow brighter with every passing day, reaching out with hands that once held you, but now find only empty air. They thought they could return to the warmth whenever they wished, but now the heat is too intense, the light too blinding, and all they can do is watch, haunted by the knowledge that the fire they abandoned is the very fire they now desperately need but can never approach again. This realization is not immediate. At first, they may distract themselves, may chase temporary thrills, may surround themselves with noise to drown out the growing awareness of their loss. But true fire calls to the soul. And when the noise fades, when the distractions grow hollow, they will feel the pull of your absence like a physical ache. They will remember the way you made them feel alive, the way you illuminated parts of themselves they didn't even know existed, the way you loved them with a warmth that was both a refuge and a revolution. And they will realize that no other flame feels the same, no other warmth penetrates to the core the way yours did. They will try to recreate it, try to spark something similar with someone new, but every attempt will fall flat. Every new connection will feel pale and insufficient, a poor imitation of what they once had and carelessly discarded. In Stoic relationships, we do not rejoice in the suffering of those who failed us. We do not burn brighter out of spite. We burn because that is our nature, because growth, healing, and self-actualization are inevitable when we commit fully to ourselves. Your fire is not a weapon aimed at them. It is a testament to your resilience, to your refusal to be diminished by loss or rejection. It is the living proof that their inability to appreciate your warmth did not extinguish your light but made it fiercer, freer, more untouchable. Have you ever stood before a fire so powerful that you felt both drawn to it and terrified by it? That is what they feel now. Drawn to your memory, your energy, your spirit, yet terrified by the realization that they no longer have access to you. That even if they reached out, even if they begged, even if they poured out their regret at your feet, it would not dim your fire or make you small enough to fit back into the space they once allowed you. You have outgrown them. You have become something vast, something limitless, something that cannot be contained within the narrow confines of who they believed you were. And that truth will burn in their chest every time they think of you. They will remember the warmth they once took for granted and feel the chill of its absence in every empty conversation, every half-hearted connection, every night spent wondering how they ever thought they could replace you. In Stoicism, we are reminded again and again that what we lose often teaches us far more than what we gain. They have lost you, and in losing you, they are confronted with the painful, unchangeable truth of their own blindness, their own arrogance, their own failure to recognize the gift they were given. But you have nothing to mourn. You are the fire that rose from the ashes of their indifference. You are the sun that shines brighter for having been abandoned. You are the living embodiment of the principle that true worth is self-evident and needs no external validation to burn brightly. Ask yourself, would you rather dim your fire for someone who could not see its value, or blaze so fiercely in your truth that the entire world feels your light? The answer is clear. Your path is forward, always forward, fueled not by bitterness, but by an unstoppable love for yourself, a commitment to your own growth, a reverence for your own journey. You are not the one who was left behind. You are the one who rose higher. You are not the one mourning a lost connection. You are the one creating a life so radiant, so full, so brilliant, that their memory becomes just a shadow, flickering at the edges of your vision. They will see you thriving and feel the burn of their mistake. They will hear your name and feel the heat of their regret. They will remember your touch and realize it was the last time they felt truly alive. And you will keep burning, keep rising, keep becoming, untouched by their sorrow, untouched by their regret. A fire that no wind of doubt, no storm of longing, no tide of apologies can ever extinguish. This is the power of Stoicism. This is the strength of Stoic relationships. It is not in seeking revenge. It is not in seeking acknowledgement. It is in becoming so complete within yourself that their absence, their regret, their longing become irrelevant to your journey. You are the fire they can no longer touch, the warmth they can no longer feel, the brilliance they can no longer approach without burning. And while they struggle with the cold reality of their loss, you will soar higher and higher, fueled by a flame that belongs to you and you alone. 6. Rising while they fall. Have you ever realized that sometimes the best response to being underestimated, overlooked, or abandoned is not to fight for recognition, but to rise so high that the ones who doubted you can only watch from below? In the philosophy of Stoic relationships, we understand that true revenge is not retaliation, it is evolution. It is becoming so much more than what they left behind that their only remaining connection to you is a lifetime of regret and wondering what might have been. Rising while they fall is not about proving anything to them. It is about fulfilling everything within yourself. When they chose to walk away, to diminish your value, to treat you as disposable, they believed they were moving towards something better, something easier, something newer. They believed they held the upper hand, that you would remain where they left you, waiting, hoping, longing for their return. But Stoicism teaches us that our power is not determined by who stays or who leaves. It is determined by what we do with the space their absence creates. You did not crumble. You did not remain frozen in the story they abandoned. You took the broken pieces they left behind and built a fortress. You took the emptiness they created and filled it with dreams, ambition, strength, and resilience. Every step forward you take, every goal you achieve, every new layer of yourself you uncover is a silent victory. Not a victory over them, but a victory over the version of yourself that once believed you needed them to be whole. Imagine the kind of internal power that surges when you no longer live for validation, when you no longer seek their approval, when your every move is fueled not by bitterness, but by an unstoppable commitment to your own greatness. That is the essence of Stoic relationships: mastery of self, indifference to the fleeting judgments of others, total devotion to your own becoming. They, meanwhile, are trapped in the illusions they chose. They search for fulfillment in hollow places, for connection in shallow waters, for meaning in empty victories. They scroll through distractions, chase fleeting highs, surround themselves with noise to drown out the growing, gnawing awareness that something is missing, that something precious was lost, and that they are the reason why. The deeper you step into your power, the more pronounced their fall becomes. It is not because you wish them harm. It is not because you focus your energy on them at all. It is because life, in its unerring wisdom, reflects back to each of us the consequences of our choices. You chose to rise, they chose to fall, and now the distance between you grows wider with every breath you take. Have you ever looked up at a soaring bird and felt both awe and regret, wishing you could rise too, but knowing you had chosen to stay on the ground? That is what they feel when they see you now. You, once accessible, once waiting, once tethered. To them by hope, are now soaring beyond their reach, radiant in your autonomy, breathtaking in your self-ownership. They will try to tell themselves stories to cope. They will minimize what you shared, distort the memories, convince themselves that you were never really that important. But Stoicism teaches us that truth, no matter how deeply buried, always resurfaces. In their quietest moments, when the world is still, when the distractions lose their luster, the truth will emerge, undeniable and cruel. They let go of someone extraordinary, and now that extraordinary force is no longer within their grasp. You are not just rising. You are becoming a phenomenon they can no longer access, a reality they can no longer rewrite, a destiny they are no longer part of. Have you ever asked yourself what it feels like to finally realize that the door you once thought you could walk back through is permanently closed? That the love you once took for granted has evolved into something far beyond your reach? That is their fate now. As you continue to invest in yourself, nurture your dreams, protect your energy, and embody the strength and resilience that Stoic relationships demand, you create a life so full, so vibrant, so magnetic that the past becomes irrelevant. They become irrelevant. You are no longer the person who needed them. You are no longer standing in the same place they left you. You are moving forward with a velocity they cannot match, building a legacy they cannot touch, writing a story they are no longer a character in. And the most powerful part? You are not doing it for them. You are doing it for you, because you have finally understood that your worth, your destiny, your fire was never tied to anyone else's ability to see it. It always belonged to you. They will watch as you achieve what they once laughed at. They will listen as others speak your name with admiration and wonder. They will see glimpses of your growth and feel the sting of their own stagnation. And no matter how much they wish to rewrite the past, to reclaim the place they once held, it will be too late. The version of you they knew is gone. In its place stands someone they never truly understood, someone stronger, wiser, untouchable. And that realization will be the heaviest burden they carry. Stoicism teaches us to let go of attachments that no longer serve us, to release the need for vengeance, to focus solely on our own path. Your rise is not an act of spite. It is an act of liberation. You are not seeking to make them hurt. You are seeking to make yourself whole. And in doing so, you achieve both. Their fall is inevitable, not because you wished it, but because they chose it when they chose to underestimate you. Their regret is inevitable, not because you engineered it, but because truth, when revealed, is undeniable. And the most beautiful part of your journey is that while they are trapped in the past, you are writing the future. A future filled with purpose, with passion, with power. A future where your value is never questioned because you have built it on foundations no one can shake. A future where you are the storm they cannot weather, the mountain they cannot climb, the fire they cannot touch, the ghost they cannot escape. You are the one who rose while they fell, and you will continue to rise, higher, farther, brighter than ever before. If this message speaks to the fire growing inside you, if you feel the power of your own transformation awakening, then I invite you to take a moment right now to like this video. Leave a comment saying number 1 to claim your rising power, and subscribe so you never miss another step in your journey toward mastering Stoic relationships and becoming the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Your story is just getting started, and it will be a story they will spend the rest of their lives wishing they had never walked away from. As you stand at the edge of this transformation, remember that becoming the one who got away is not about playing games, seeking revenge, or proving anyone wrong. It is about stepping so completely into your own power that their memory of you becomes an unhealable scar, a constant reminder of what they lost and will never regain. You are no longer the person waiting for validation, for apology, for closure. You are the closure. You are the proof. You are the evolution they never expected. Stoic relationships teach us that strength lies not in clinging, but in letting go, not in controlling outcomes, but in mastering ourselves. You have risen through the fire, walked through the silence, become the ghost they cannot escape, the diamond they threw away, the fire they can no longer touch, and the force they can only admire from a distance. Your journey is not about them. It never truly was. It is about the woman you are becoming, the woman who no longer defines herself by those who couldn't see her worth, but by the endless well of resilience, passion, and dignity she carries within. There will always be those who fail to recognize greatness when it stands before them. Let them. That is their lesson to learn, not yours to teach. Your only responsibility now is to continue rising, continue building, continue becoming everything you were always destined to be. This chapter is yours to write. This life is yours to live. And as you move forward, stronger and wiser, know this: the ones who underestimated you will feel your absence louder than your presence ever was. And you will be too busy conquering your world to ever look back.